Welcome back to Worlds Within, where story becomes space. We're your hosts, Alyssa and Ash, and every episode we explore fictional worlds that don't just live on the page, they pull you in, build themselves around you, and let you wander through them. This is a podcast for readers who don't just love books, they live in them. We dive deep into sensory storytelling, character perspectives, and the world-building mechanics that turn fiction into a fully immersive experience. Continuing on with our Season 2 Frozen Realms theme, today we're discussing Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett. Let's get to our plot teaser. We'll start every episode with a plot teaser. We've made a cuppa to match the book and read the synopsis. Fair warning, we will discuss some spoilers throughout the book or in the book throughout the show. So if you want to pause, save this episode for later so you don't get spoiled, now's the time. Today's tea is a classic English breakfast tea. We really loved the repetition of having a tea throughout the book, like when Finn would bring it to the cottage daily. And since Emily Wilde hails from Cambridge, a standard English breakfast tea felt like the right choice.
It sure did. All right, let's get into our synopsis here. A curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of a heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She's a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. She could never make small talk at a party or even get invited to one, and she prefers the company of her books, her dog, and the fair folk. So when she arrives in the hardscrabble village of Hrafsnvik, Emily has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk, nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Bimbleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, get in the middle of Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the hidden ones, the most elusive of all fairies, lurking in the shadowy forest outside the town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bambleby, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she'll have to unlock the greatest mystery of all, her own heart.
So I had never even heard of this book.
Really?
Never. Like this was like when you suggested it, and I think you put it on like 3 different lists for us. And you were like, I want to read this book. And I was like, all right, well, we can read this book. And you're like, I was like, which theme does it go with of the ones that we're talking about?
All of them.
All of them. And I was like, okay, cool. So we're reading this season. Got it. And I read the synopsis and it was like, yeah, this looks fine. Like I can read this. And that is such an unassuming synopsis.
Which I loved.
And so I was like, yeah, like, okay, I'll read this. Like, I'll give it a shot. I was not prepared for the book I was about to read.
I truly don't even know how I came across this book. Like, I don't know when I was exposed to it. I have no idea.
Brownies put it on your shelf.
Yes, Brownies must have put it on my shelf or planted it in my brain. I don't know. All I knew was it was a cozy fantasy romance and a wintry read. That's really all I knew. And the title had something about fairies. So I was like, oh, this will work for whatever we do. And I knew that I had a longing to read it. So I was really excited that we landed on it for Frozen Realms here. But yeah, another true first impression for both of us. And for me, immediately, yes. From the first page, absolutely loved this. This fulfilled that sense of longing I knew I was going to have going into it, and coziness. It was so very welcomed, especially coming off of Quicksilver. The way that it's written, the language, all of the descriptions. This is an academic professor and discussions about research. I was hooked. And because this fictional land is kind of built around Iceland and I was just there, I could truly feel and fully picture Logisland. Like, I was like, I know what this place looks like, and I'm so happy to be here.
So honestly, it did take me a minute to get bought in.
Yeah.
Just, it's not boring, but it's
different.
It's bland isn't the right word either. It's just, it's academic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little academic. And I was like, I don't want to think. I want to be transported. And then I was like, but at first, but it did take me a minute to be like, but again, not enough to like dissuade me from it. It was just kind of like, I was waiting, not for the other shoe to drop, but again, I was like, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
I know that you are. I just need you to not be academic the whole time. But
I loved the academic of it all.
Yeah. Well, that is an area we very vastly differ.
I think we can get into the world building since we've kind of touched on it already.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Fawcett uses is like the prose and narrative structure as a world building mechanic. So this book is written as Emily Wilde's research journal. So the year is 1909. She is a professor from Cambridge who is coming to this place, Lodgeland, to research the hidden ones. And the book is her field notes. And so we are learning about this world as Emily theorizes, thinks, connects. Like she's like dropping little tidbits of like everything that she knows because she's a genius professor and she's writing this Encyclopedia of Faeries. So she has all of the background and the knowledge. And she's trying to connect the dots. And I thought it blended really naturally with our learning and immersion into the world as just like the narrative structure of the book.
Well, it is, again, this is where the academic style got me back in, was it is absolutely normal that if I was doing research and I had knowledge and I was like going through, I was theorizing or something, I would say, this is what I know from previous, this is what I'm seeing, this is where I think they mesh. And so you're teaching me the things you know in a completely natural way.
Yeah.
And I'm bought in. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really smart. Now, obviously there's things that I don't know that you might be missing because you're not teaching me everything at that moment. But I was bought into like every theory because I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's the history. That's the current, like, yes.
It was authentic, right?
Yes.
It didn't feel forced. It just felt really authentic and true to Emily's voice. I think another piece of this is because every chapter is like a date in the book, in her field guide. I was so immersed in this narrative structure that I audibly gasped when the date flew forward to January 30 when Emily was captive. I was like, oh, that much time has passed? And I just thought like even chapter titles, which are just dates, pulled me so far into the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. And like discussing research methodology and sample size is just, it makes my heart so happy. So happy.
Oh, I know.
And sorry, I'm going to gush about this book. The footnotes.
Those were great.
Oh, so nice. So throughout the book, Emily will drop like a theory and then there will be a footnote and you can read the footnote and it adds history to what she's talking about or additional lore or layers and texture in a way that still feels super authentic and natural without being like so forced and without like dragging on the narrative structure.
Because it takes you, like, it gives you that context without taking you out of the moment.
Yes.
It's like, hey, this is what's happening. By the way, supporting, like going back, if you missed this, or if you needed more context to understand what happened in this moment, here's the context, but I'm not dropping it in the moment and then distracting you from what's happening.
Yeah. Another piece of this is the book is set in 1909 and the language matches the time, which I love because that to me feels really thought out and purposeful versus some of the other books that we've read. You're seeing some like modern language. I'm thinking particularly to Quicksilver, modern language that feels a little out of place because time is, you're unsure of like what time we're in.
Yeah.
But this felt really true and intentional with the choice of language and like how it's written and how it's described and even like the slow burn romance of it all.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like it is a very clearly set time. Like time is important in this book in a way that it is not in Quicksilver, where like, I mean, we kind of get like of the 9th age or the 10th age. Yeah. We get some of those things. But like, I don't, no idea but like, I don't, in that world, like, is that of our world? it just,
Live in nothing world.
like, it's just the context is different where like this was really, it was very specifically important. Like from the get, you know, she was going to get there at this time, leave at this time. And then when Bamblebee shows up,
he's like,
now it's like, actually, you're going to leave like 2 or 3 whole months earlier. And then they end up leaving earlier than that.
That's so good. Another big part of this world is winter. And we learn through Emily that the hidden ones or the courtly fae move with the winter. So winter is described so well in this book. And even when Emily arrives to when she leaves and like how that changes and the snow that is coming down. And I think Christian says something like, this is just old man winter clearing his throat. Like you'll know when winter's here. And I just loved that. Like, cause we get glimmers of that in real life. Like we in Nashville just had a little snow flurry yesterday and that's just old man winter clearing his throat. Like it's not really here yet, which I just really love.
But we will know in about January. That's when winter will arrive and we will know, for that week.
But it creates something that is really stark and beautifully dangerous. Like the snow is really pretty. It's glittering. It's, you know, it falls softly and then suddenly it becomes very dangerous. Like a frozen lake can be very beautiful, but when it's having like a fairy party on it, it becomes really dangerous. And so I just liked that winter was foundational in this book, and you couldn't escape it at all.
Yeah. And the fact that like she has also, I mean, kind of going back to Quicksilver, that Emily has also, like, she's experienced winter because she's lived in England, but
not like this.
She's never experienced cold like this, and certainly not in the field. She's never experienced these kinds of conditions. Like this is a very new world for her.
Yeah.
And so she's learning about the Fae and learning about like the hidden ones while also learning how to navigate this
winter.
Weather.
Yeah. Or like keep her fire going all night.
Yeah.
Loved. Another mechanic that Fawcett uses is the world that we are in feels both hyper local and very vast. In a way that really worked for me. So we are leaning on Norse and Celtic mythologies and references to folk and fae folk in other countries and their rules, while also being distinctly local to Hrafsnavik, which I really liked that contrast, and it didn't pull me out. It was more like, this is additive to what Emily is experiencing in this town. For example, like the Celtic mythology that we get as she's starting to piece together who Wendell might truly be, it reminded me a little bit of Dark Fever in that way because it's set in Dublin and we see some dribblings mentioned here and there that bridge both of those books. Like she mentioned the Seelie and the Unseelie. I think the word she was in there as well, spelled the Celtic Sidhe, which I really liked.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that, like, obviously there are different mythos across the world that share commonalities, but also again have distinct regionalities to them. And like, just like people do. And so I think that it's fascinating that, like, well, most fae follow these rules. However, like, I think it's the Auchshi with the brownies of Ireland actually are this way. And in general, most fae don't like metal, but these ones are tolerant of it. And like, so exploring those and seeing where there are overlaps and where there are divergences is really beautifully done.
She even describes how the Auchshi, they are the ones that are able to interact with metal and particularly like silver. And so I pulled this out. They like mirrors as well. I pulled this out because I thought this was so beautifully written. They fill their vast dark forest with silver mirrors like jewels, which drink in the little sun and starlight that penetrates the boughs and reflect it back at the will of the folk. It is also said they use silver to construct fantastical staircases that wind up and up those vast trunks, and bridges that hang between them like delicate necklaces. Put me there. I would like to be there. Yeah. I think it's just so beautifully written, but then also is giving you lore about the Auchshi and like what they are, how they are in these Irish forests. But then you have this contrast with something that is distinctly local about this town. right? So this is a little red-roofed village huddled below the mountains like Red Riding Hood as the wolf loomed behind her. And it really just paints that picture for you.
Yeah. I think I've not been to Iceland, and yet I could still see this little village.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the great things is like you do have that like real world context for this, but it's just so beautifully done that it exists.
Yeah.
And I accept that, and I've seen it even if I haven't.
Yeah. I love it. Even like the hyper locality of it. We have kind of our sidekick characters, right? Of Odd and Thora and the tavern. Emily says, above the bar where one might find a pair of antlers on the continent, there hung instead a tremendous mandible of a whale, which is so local to this island. And I just loved that little tidbit of like what you would expect is a little different, but it's still something.
Well, and it's very true to like a fishing village and like which again is of that locale, like in real life. Like I would absolutely expect that makes sense. It also, I couldn't help but see the siren wing on the wall.
Nice.
Because it's like, it's just so much bigger than like antlers. They're like, oh, okay, it's antlers, you know, but like a mandible of a whale, like that's massive.
Yeah.
Also, I couldn't help but like, I was picturing Gaston's Tavern.
Same.
And like,
Same.
I saw it and I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah.
And that's just what it was.
But I think that's right.
But also like, I loved the idea of like this massive burning fire in the middle that everyone's like congregating around and like kind of like in spokes or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a cozy tavern.
Very cozy.
I was I would have been very happy to be there.
Yeah. Even the naming conventions of our sidekicks help create that local feeling. Like they are very Scandinavian or Icelandic names, which I think adds to like, oh, we are somewhere specific. We talked a little bit about names in Quicksilver and how Kingfisher's name kind of stands out as different from the rest, but then how Fae have their own names and not everybody knows their true name. But here, the humans, at least, have very culturally specific names, which I appreciated and helped create more immersion for me. Because it would have been weird to be like in this place in 1909 and like a Jessica walks in. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't have made sense. Like, of course, we have an Odd and a Christian with a J in there.
Yeah.
You know?
And a Finn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
Agreed. So one of the, obviously it's an encyclopedia. So she's exploring a lot of different Fae, and we get to see a good variety of those folk. And again, not just locally, but in her notes, we see or get glimpses of some of the other folks she's already met and explored.
Mm-hmm. And each are described with just enough detail without being overwhelming, and they feel really natural. And I think that's because like Emily has studied them, she's able to describe them, and we trust her. Like she's already established herself as this professor that knows everything. And so we as readers trust, like, yeah, you're telling us enough for us to know, and we're going to keep moving. And like, ooh, this is an interesting tidbit that we'll come back to later. I really liked it. I thought it was just beautifully done.
Yeah. I mean, there were times when I wanted more because I wanted to be able to figure things out on my own. And that's a me thing like that. I always want that. But very much like, and you mentioned it as well in our notes, but like, it's very much like Mara. Like you're just accepting that like these things exist, these things are as they are. And you're going to give them to me as I need them, if I need them. And there's a lot that I'm just going to have to accept.
Yeah. Like, why is there a saint of grackles? Doesn't matter.
Why do you have a button for lost, or a word for lost buttons?
Well,
I mean, obviously we find out why, and
we find out a usage.
We found out a usage for it, but
I just
like,
love it.
But why?
It's silly.
Like, why was that a thing that you created? I don't know, but I mean, obviously it worked.
Yeah.
But like, just such
softness.
A weird thing. Yeah.
It's just like a softness in it, and it's just a lot like Nettle. It's not overly explained. Like the magic isn't overly explained. It's just so like we're in this world. This is what happens. Kind of just deal with it, you know. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm here. I'm with you. I'm I'm part of this now too, so I am just going to be like, yeah, that's great.
And you haven't told me anything that like throws me as like, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
Everything's like, yeah, that jives.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm hip. I'm happening.
And I think that's because Fawcett does rely on some of these traditional Fae lore. Like we still get mentions of courtly and common Fae, of ones that look more human versus ones that do not. We even get mentions of Seelie and Unseelie and how that's an antiquated theory, even though we read it in Dark Fever. But we also see like these Fae can be dangerous and violent, and it can be kind of shocking to experience that firsthand when Wendell is chopping people's heads off. But then they're also impossibly handsome and charming and can win people over. They deal in stories. They really like stories. There are bargains here. The name thing comes up again of Wendell's like, I'll give you my real name if you marry me. And she's like, why would I want your real name?
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so sweet.
Yeah, I think we get a lot of like, again, typical, like we explore the idea of the changeling.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big part of the group or of the book. And like, it's very classic, but there are notes of like how she deals with it, like in a little bit different way that I appreciated. Obviously we get brownies. Poe, such a sweet
with his needle fingers though. Like
I was picturing a bow truckle.
I don't know what that is. A bow truckle
from Harry Potter. It's like a little bark because she describes him as like bark like.
Hold on, I have a laptop here. You know who says that a lot? Amy Poehler. She says that on her podcast. Hold on, I've got a laptop. Oh yeah, okay, I could see this.
So that's
like a root.
Yeah, I was kind of they're tree creatures. They're like twigs or what have you, but that's what I was picturing.
That's funny. I like it.
She was describing Poe because he's bark like and like his long fingers and needle fingers.
And the first time she sees him, he is cloaked in a raven skin, which I thought was so gross and cute at the same time. It was like, of course you are.
And then she gives him the hat and he just destroys it. And I was like, oh.
And he's so tiny, and yet he's like, can I have a bear skin? And she's like, all right, sure.
I'll try and
figure out how to get you a bear skin. Like, it's going to swallow you whole.
And that he likes chocolate, but not caramel.
Not caramels. And he's an excellent baker.
He is an excellent baker. I would like a forest fae to bake for me.
Absolutely. I'll give you whatever pelts you want.
Well, but speaking of fae tropes, the bargains and she is very intentional for the most part about how she enters those bargains.
She knows,
because she does know, and she's, again, as one does, she messes up sometimes, but like she does a really great job with building that, and it comes from building a sense of trust with him as well. Like, I don't want to take advantage of you. I want us to have this relationship, and it ultimately becomes a relationship because he what does he call her? I don't know how to say it, but
it is a Scandinavian
word. It's a Scandinavian word that is kind of like a,
you're my person.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, we are allies, we are companions.
Yeah.
Like you protect me, I protect you, we are allies.
I'll introduce you to the love of my life.
I picked the best one. Oh, their little romance.
So cute. So I know. And the fact, okay, we're waxing poetic about Poe. He lives in a tree, right? Just a tiny tree with a tiny door, and just wants the snow swept from in front of his door. But we also learn, and this is something very similar, kind of a traditional fae trope, that there are doors to other realms in this world. And Wendell is looking for a back door back into his home realm. Wendell has been exiled by his stepmother. We learn that Wendell is kind of heir to high fae courtly throne, so he's a prince but also kind of should be the king, and so he's looking for a way back into that world. But it reminded me so much of later books in Dark Fever when the wall comes down and they accidentally like drive through portals and they end up in Faerie and they have to drive back into Dublin. of just how there are different realms that are accessible here. And you see that in Quicksilver too, right at the end, talking about the tree and all of the leaves are different realms that exist. And I just really liked that. But I liked that it was done with a softness here. It was really, I don't know.
Yeah, we just get mention of it, but we don't actually explore it.
Yeah.
It gave me that, like, it's a thing that I'm looking forward to in the next book, is like, okay, you've hinted at it, you've alluded to it, it's there, it's a thing, but you didn't give me everything.
Yeah.
And also, like, giving it to me was a natural thing, like it made sense, but not giving me more also made sense.
Yeah, at the time. Also, one thing I pulled out is Emily says, the folk are 2A1 left-handed, as am I, which means finally I can be Fae.
I saw, well, then, I mean, let's go back to season 1, and I want to be a she-seer, so it would make sense.
You can see me.
I can see you.
Oh gosh, to be seen, y'all, to be seen. Speaking of seeing things, let's talk about the sensory immersion. My literal first note was, everything was perfect. I loved it all. Every detail was described so well without overkill that we saw in ACOTAR.
Yes.
Like, even the descriptions of food, we get a lot of food descriptions in this book.
I know, it
which
made me
I
hungry.
Loved. Of the brown bread, of smoked sheep cheese, which I have had and it is incredible, salted fish, fish stew, the cups of tea, Poe's bread, and the cakes that he makes. The wine. That's like, she even says, my tea, which was strong and smoky, but good. I just love it. Like, you're like, yep, I know exactly how that is. I don't need much more.
Yeah.
You know? Lots of taste descriptions here that made it feel real.
Yeah, and honestly, the pickled seaweed.
Oh yeah,
and
the seaweed
like,
relish.
Yeah, the seaweed relish. I was like, I mean, that sounds disgusting, but also
I'd try it.
I would try that.
Yeah,
like I would put that on my burnt toast, I guess.
Yeah. So good. And then in Sight, we get a lot of descriptions of the snow and of winter. Wendell even says, like, everything in, like, even the forest was just black and white, and he was so used to, like, the rich green of Ireland. Emily describes when she first arrives at Loch Slund that these were not tidy hillsides, but riddled with lumps, volcanic rock, and haphazard garments of moss. And I was like, I know exactly what that looks like, and have pictures of it from Iceland. Something else I want to call out is we get a lot of descriptions of the color of the sky and what's going on in the sky. She describes it as it was a soft purple, it was pinks, it was an eggshell or gray and miserable, or the aura, the northern lights, spilling out of the sky. And like, what an image that is.
Well, and when they're looking for Lila and Margaret, and the clue or what they're looking for is where the aurora bleeds white. The idea, like, of it's bleeding into the sky and bleeding into the snow side or the mountainside. I just thought that was just such a good like way to describe that. Because it's kind of like I was picturing like watercolors when you like when you add a little bit of extra like water and it just like spills.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I could totally see that. We also get good sound descriptions, right? Of like the music that comes that precedes the hidden ones. And that's how you're kind of like, is it Peter Piper? Like, you're kind of like
Pied Piper.
Pied Piper, thank you. Peter Piper picked
a peck of pickled peppers.
Yeah. The Pied Piper is pulling the snakes out and the kids. But we get descriptions of the music and the wind even. And when she first encounters Poe at the spring, she says a small sound came then, a sort of pitter-patter, not unlike the continual drip of wet from the forest boughs. Nailed it. Know exactly what it sounds like.
Well, and she says, like, you know, you won't hear them unless they want you to hear them. And that, like, but she also talks about how, like, there is a quieting before you hear that. Like, that if you're listening well enough, you will hear it dim before you hear what you're supposed to hear or what they want you to hear. Or
even how she is seemingly immune to the music. She's like, I know what's happening, but I just can't hear it. Or I'm choosing not to hear it. Another thing so this book is really cozy and sweet and darling. and has an edge that was kind of unexpected when it happened in the book, both with like Wendell literally decapitating people with a sword made of tears. Incredible. But then the other thing I called out specifically in sensory immersion is Emily gets an enchantment by one of the leaves of the tree that the king is trapped in, the Fae King. And she feels it on her finger. And we get such description of that. Like, I could feel it. My finger was exceptionally cold. Like, all of these descriptions. And then she chops her finger off. Incredible.
I highlighted that section, and hang on, I'm going to pull it up because
I love this book. So unexpected, because during that moment, she is being drawn out of bed to go find this king, right? And pull him out of the tree. And she's like, oh no, like I still have my wits about me. And the way to end this enchantment is to remove my finger.
It was the most curious sensation. At first, I was conscious only of the enchantment leaving me. It felt like falling, that dream sensation in which there is no ground to hit, only wakefulness. I awoke, and then immediately after that, the pain rolled over me in a red wave. And my note was absolutely not.
Lila had given her axe lessons, like chopping lessons. She's like, well, now I know how to do it.
It was like a train wreck. She's doing it. And I couldn't.
I just thought it was so cool. Not cool, but like these little sprinkled moments of contrast of like, oh, this is cozy, snowy, yada yada. But this is dangerous. Like there's still real danger afoot.
Well, and she is so committed to, like, she knows exactly what's going on, and she does try for a very long time
to ignore it.
And she says like most enchantments can be broken through willpower, and she has that in spades.
Yeah.
But she's like, nope, this one, he is old. He is mostly magic.
He got me.
He got me. I gotta cut the finger off, I guess. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, girl. What?
It's nuts.
No.
It's nuts. But continuing along, touch. Even the soft feel of Wendell's hand on her cheek, or some that I pulled out here, the wind had tasted snow. Like, I put that as a touch, but it might be more of a smell. But it's just, the smell of snow and like what that wind feels like. I smell
snow.
Yeah, Lorelai's here, which another Gilmore Girl reference is coming up. Or the cold has claws. Really loved that one. And
again,
then
that personification that we talked about last episode.
Yes. Or Emily says, I felt thinly layered in salt from the voyage north. And my immediate thought was, what would Imogen say or do in this situation? Because it's 1909. She doesn't have access to like a shower really handy. She's like, I got to go bathe in the spring and I haven't been able to do that and yada, yada, yada. So she still felt the salt from her voyage up here.
Well, and she could have like brought water into the cottage, but she's like, she couldn't keep the fire warm.
Bless her. We also get a lot of smell descriptions. The sensory immersion really worked for me here, honestly. Like
it was so subtle.
Yeah, it coincides with the food or the cottage, right? The smell of something I guessed to be puffin dung, though it could have also been sheep. Or the candles that Odd brings over. That Wendell was like, that's snake oil. Like, don't pay attention to that. But she said it's a powerful smell, a mixture of lemon and rot. Good.
Yeah, and then Wendell when he like brings his forest to life in that mirror, and she's like, it's so vivid. I can smell summer needles on a forest floor, warmly fragrant as they snapped underfoot.
God, it's just so good. So good. Those are the ones we have pulled out for sensory immersion. Yeah. Should we talk about our characters a little bit
Absolutely.
more?
We have such good ones.
We do. So our main character is Emily. She is 30. She is a professor at Cambridge without tenure. And she is hoping to reach tenure post-publishing of this encyclopedia. And she hoards knowledge. And Wendell often refers to her as my dear dragon, which part of me is like hoping like, oh, is Emily a dragon? Like, please let her be a dragon somewhere.
Like she's not just human.
Right. Let her be more.
But also I kind of love that she is, I kind of love the idea that she is just a human.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Wendell uses a lot of language kind of around like my dear dragon, like you haven't charred me to bits after my proposal to you, like things like that. But Emily's very introverted. She's socially awkward, but I find her endearing and lovable. Her hair is always askew. It's falling out of her clip, even when she's being dressed by the servants of the Hidden One King. She's like, not even fairy magic can keep my hair in place. Like, girl, I get it.
I was gonna say, I mean, we've all been there.
I get it.
And she is briefly missing a finger. She does get it back.
But she's down a finger for a while.
I wonder if her like magicked finger that the king gives her, wonder if it ever like goes away or if like it has future implications.
Maybe.
I don't know.
There are two other
books.
We also have Wendell, who she describes as her best and only friend. And then we find out that Wendell is also just in love with her. And he's also courtly fae. Which I just loved. I loved that little twist and like how subtly it was done.
Because when you like at first, like as soon as we got to a point where like he alluded to it, I knew exactly what he was alluding to it. And I was like, oh, how did I miss that? Like, it's so obvious.
It is.
But it's not. It's like, again, it's so well written in that I'm like, you don't realize it until he says it. And then obviously she still doesn't even get it until he very explicitly says it to her.
Yeah. These are much more gentle descriptions than like Mac describing Blaine, right? Yeah. Like we get descriptions of Wendell's hair. His hair was golden and entirely perfect like the rest of him. And I called this out as like, yes, blondes. Like we see so many shadow daddies, right? Of like dark hair, pale, blah, blah, blah. Like you guys know the trope, right? And so to have like a blonde, charming, fae man, I was like, oh, that's so great. Or a smile so thoughtlessly beautiful. When she describes his hair, though, and how often like she wants to like run her fingers through it, all I could think was Lane in like, you know, how she just had to touch his hair. That's not even the Gilmore reference I was coming up on. Are you serious? Yeah. So the one I was coming up on is Wendell proposes to Emily. And he's like, oh, you'll probably go make a pro-con list. It reminded me so much of Logan when he says that to Rory. He's like, go ahead. She's like, you do not mock the pro-con list. And he's like, I'm not. I think you'll find that it turns out in my favor. Yeah. And I felt like that is Wendell and Emily. Yeah. I loved it. That's my Gilmore reference. I was going to say, but what's funny is what I think is a little bit different is like Logan does mock a little bit, whereas Wendell is like, I don't want an answer from you now. I've sprung this on you. Yeah. Like, I want you to take your time. I want you like think about it. My dear dragon. Like, and like, of course you're making this academic, like that you're experimenting. I love it. Like, but it's like, it's an acceptance of who she is. Mm-hmm. And I do love them. Sweet. They're sweet. I also love all of the townsfolk. Such a sweet. I want to be there. I know. We have Odd. They are Thora. Petty. They are AF, though. Which I love. I was so, like, right. Like I wrote that they were very cold and like insulated to start, and Emily's like, no. At first meeting of Odd, like no, I'll pay for everything, and Odd takes that as like an affront because this is. I'm being generous. You are a guest in our town. Like, we will take care of you. And Emily is like, mm-mm. And then that creates such a rift between Emily and the rest of the town. Well, and like Emily's reasons is it makes sense. Like, she's there for science. She doesn't want to be swayed, which obviously goes completely out the window by the end of the book. Yeah. But like, she's not doing it to be ungrateful. Mm-hmm. She's doing it for like academic integrity. Yeah. But like the fact that Wendell calls her out and he's like, for all of the things you study and know and like the research and prep work that you didn't study the local custom. You didn't language. Study. Yeah, she could get by, but he was like, you didn't like. He's fluent, but also he's fae. But just exactly to your point. Like, why didn't you do this? Like, this is integral to the success of your research here. Like, why didn't you do this? Like, that's now you have. And part of me like was wondering when she like almost basically chopped his arm off. Like, part of me wondered, like, did he create that situation or put himself in that situation on purpose to
Like, because he said, I will help you.
I'll find a way to
find a
help
way
you.
to help you get back in with these
Yeah.
people. Did he do that on purpose? And it's unclear.
Maybe.
Like,
It is unclear.
So I don't know.
Well, if it is purposeful, it worked. Right.
And if it wasn't, then wow, what luck.
It really worked because these folks band together and come up with a plan to rescue Emily.
Yeah.
Which we didn't talk about here, but I really, really loved that whole, like, she's being fitted for a dress and she was like, I clocked you. Like, Wendell, I know it's you. Like, he has shapeshifted into the Oxy because it's like on his mother's side. Like, there's a
drop of brownie.
A drop of brownie, and he can shapeshift into that common fae. And he like sacrifices his beauty and his charm in order to rescue Emily. But the whole town is behind him and they've come up with a plan, and it just was great.
And the fact that like Odd rolls with it. Like when Emily can't
She's like, I can't kill the king. Yeah.
She can't fulfill the plan. Odd is like so quick thinking that she's like, all right, you done it now. So let's roll with how we
got to finish this somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was really good. And then we get descriptions of various folk. We've talked a lot about Poe.
We do.
And the relationship that Emily builds with him. And even like Poe's fear of Wendell. Like, I don't want to talk to him ever again. No. Don't do that. Don't tell him never to come back, which I love.
I liked the peppermints, but I don't like him.
Yeah. And then the descriptions of the king, or even there was a hidden one that Wendell ended up fighting with, like dripping icicles off of his face, or like his hair made of snow and ice. It just really liked the visual. Felt very White Walker in a lot of ways, which I loved because I'm like, oh, the White Walker, totally fae.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I also a little bit got like when we were in like the palace and we're with like the winter, the high fae of that court. Very White Witch from Chronicles of Narnia. And like that, like
frostiness.
Frosty, yeah. I very much got that vibe, specifically when they returned the changeling.
Yes,
like that woman. Also, can we talk about how the Fae King was made out of a snowman?
He's like, and Emily's like, well, I guess he had to go back into something. Like, if I pull him out of this tree by unbuttoning his cloak. Which I love.
Just by saying this word of power.
So simple, though. I loved that whole story of like, oh, well, she made him a cloak of all 4 seasons. And then when he was sleeping, she cut the winter out and buttoned him and like tightened this cloak. And that trapped him because no one can escape a year without all winter. 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Not even the king. And I just loved that like play on words. But then, she cracks the tree open by unbuttoning the king, and he has to assume some form, and it's a snowman.
I was torn between Olaf and that Netflix Christmas rom-com Hot Frosty.
Oh my god. Hot Frosty. Yikes. Well, anything else before we get into our final segment here?
We kind of talked about it. But like when we were talking at the beginning, like where, the Fae like deal in stories. I love that like she's committed to knowing the stories because she's like, there's always a loophole. Like there is always essentially a non-violent way.
Yeah.
Like a clever way to get out of the thing. You just have to
think about it.
You have to think about it. And I think that is what makes this whole story like so again cozy is that like we get beheaded people all like through a lot of the latter half of the book, but like that it is like
it's intellectual.
Well, it's intellectual, but also like it is so critical to who and what the Fae are that there be that element of trickery in their stories. So
all right, portal moments.
Yeah,
let's do it.
So for me, unfortunately, it was her cutting her finger off. Because
It's so good.
Because at first I was like, okay, you recognize you're enchanted, and
like that duality of she's like, I then put my boots on and here I am going outside.
And again, talking about the intellectualism, like she's like, okay, I understand what is happening to me, and I understand that there's a level of like comfort that it wants me to have, and it's compelling me to do this, but it's compelling me to do it in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So here I need to use as much willpower as I can exert. I need to focus into this manner. And I'm like, yeah. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, you're going to do that. And I'm just like, because she references like, well, my finger was cold, and then now there's a smoky band around my, like a smoky ring, and now the ring is ice, and like, so I acknowledge that it's getting bigger, and I'm like, well, how do you get it off?
Yeah,
that's how you get it off.
That's
and
one way.
Like, again, just the idea of like having to aim, and she's just so matter of fact about it and so committed to doing it. And I was like, yeah, this is the only way.
You got to do it.
And like, again, it's 1909.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do to fix that?
You can't.
Like she just has this fortitude and willpower that she does it, and then like stumbles through the pain enough to bandage, and then write a letter and go still do what she was being compelled to do
with a different sense of security now.
Yeah. And I just like that amount of like, again, willpower and commitment and determination to like do a thing that obviously like, yes, was in her best interest, but also like I could not cut off my own appendage.
No.
Like that just, I couldn't do it. Like I like to think I have a pretty high tolerance for pain.
Not to chop off your own finger.
But not to chop off my own finger. Like I don't know that I could do that, even if like, it's kind of like those Saw movies where they're like, cut your arm off and then you can escape. And I'm like, I don't think I could do it. Just kill me. Like,
take me out.
Take me out now. Cause I don't like, I mean, and maybe in that situation it'd be different because I would be like actually dying, and so I would actually like to survive, but who knows? Because
maybe I don't never find out.
Yeah, maybe we never find out. But I was so in there, and it wasn't even just because of the gore, because it's actually fairly tame, all things considered, but it was just her commitment to like sinking into the enchantment and manipulating it as much as she could, which for you have to think like for a human against this millennia old, almost pure magic king is really impressive.
It sounds like it was more the emotional weight of it and like character development that pulled you into that moment.
For sure. And also the fact that she chopped off her finger.
For me, it was when she visits the changeling for the first time. I really liked all of that, and it felt like our first departure from something cozy into something dangerous, because this changeling was able to throw out these illusions and these visions, making the stairs appear like wolves that were biting at her cloak and had a thick pelt, and described as became a gaping mouth, glittering with teeth and furred with a dense pelt. And all of that, the descriptions of the boy himself, the changeling boy himself, and it just gave me that like gut sinking discomfort that I got in Nettle and Bone when they first came upon the cursed child, which was hanging around that woman's neck, of just like, oh no, this is bad. This is bad. We get descriptions of like a bitter wind funneled into the room, smelling of snow and pine, and how much magic this changeling boy had and how powerful he was. And he was just causing a terror to these human parents and to the town unknowingly. Emily describes him as pale as moonlight on new snow, long hair, that was bluish and translucent. He was beautiful with an uncanny grace, and his eyes shared with intelligence. I might have a typo in my note.
It's okay.
Anyway. And then she wounds him with an iron nail, which I thought was so interesting and describes the scream he let out as winter given voice. And I was like, oh my God, this is scary. He's a scary dude.
Yeah.
I just really loved it. And then Emily just feels very solid and sure and confident of like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to interact with this changeling. I'm going to figure out how to put you back or like get your name or what we can do to get you out of this town. Because she's starting to put together the pieces of this theory that they call the lantern effect. But because there's so much magic consolidated in Hrafsnavik because of the changeling, that's why the hidden ones are so focused on taking their young folk or their young people and making them hollow. And so she's like, well, if I put the changeling back where he belongs, then the lantern like is gone.
Yeah.
And so I just love like Emily's very similar, her confidence in like, this is the right thing to do. I will figure it out because that's what I there's no one smarter than me at this. And then when she does it and how she does it is ruthless.
Well,
and I loved it.
But it's interesting because it is ruthless. And like Wendell says, he's like, I can't do that to a child, whether it's folk or human. Like I'm tapping out when it comes to kids. And she's just like, I don't care if it's a kid or it's an adult. Like
we're saving the town.
Like this is bigger than that. Like it's one kid versus the many. And I just think it's funny that like Wendell has that line and she like,
especially after chopping people's heads off.
Exactly. But like she really doesn't like she doesn't because by all accounts for most of the book she does see like the Fae as not people but like she like treats them with like kindness and respect and but to like have that switch flip of like, all right, you're gonna play dirty, I'm gonna play dirty.
And just like how interconnected, this is kind of a flash forward or I guess a secondary portal moment for me in that moment where she's like, Wendell has made a magical cloak for me that when I reach into the pocket, it gives me what I need. And so she reaches into the pocket and what does she pull out? One doll that is of the changeling's world and probably the only thing that he would recognize from his world. And she's like, I'm going to use this as leverage. I'm going to burn this doll in front of him until he gives me his name. And it
ruthless.
It works. And it's dramatic. And the changeling has a lot of reactions but it solves such like a central plot point. And but it's still connected to like what Wendell had done and provided for her and this magical cloak. And oh man, it's great. Yeah. It was so great. I think that's a wrap on this episode of Worlds Within. Before we go, let's give Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries our immersion rating on a scale of 1 to 10 portals.
I'm going to let you go first because you have...
It's a 10. It's a 10 across the board, folks. This book had everything, and not in the way that I used that phrase in Quicksilver. It had everything that made my heart so happy. As somebody who loves reading academic literature and thinking about research study design, it had that. It had a really distinct narrative structure that lended itself to immersive world building and a sense of time and place. It had the coziness that made me just want to like curl up with a nice warm blankie by a fire. And I just couldn't put it down. I felt fully in and of this world. So it is a 10 for me.
Yeah, so because of the initial like academic, like too academic to start for me, I'm going to give it a 9. But it's only because like I started and I was like, oh, I don't want to read those journals anyway, like normally. And so like that, again, that slightly dryness that we started with, it just took a minute to hook me. Yeah. It didn't take long, but it wasn't instant like it was for you. And so for that, like I needed a little time. Also, there were a couple of moments.
You had to warm up.
Yeah, there were a couple, but there were just a couple moments where I was like, okay, I stepped out for a brief moment. And it didn't take long to get me back in, but there were just little things.
Yeah.
So
totally fair. Well, thanks for joining us, y'all, on this episode. This was the cozy, frosty academic field study I never knew that I needed in my life. And I will forever be longing to get back to this world with Emily and Wendell. And no surprise, we'll be picking up the sequel with a quickness.
I will not be far behind you. Let's be honest. Next episode, we will be covering The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. So bundle up. We'll be on the edge of the Russian wilderness with that one. And here, winter isn't just a season, it's a presence and a doorway to something ancient. Until then, stay warm, stoke the fire, like, subscribe, and follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and let us know, where did you feel the story became space? Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Worlds Within, where story becomes space. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Worlds Within Pod for more episodes, sensory guides to your favorite books, and more.
And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Bye.